Hello, my name is Steve Mokaya for the African Voice. So today we are at the National Museums of Kenya where we have a very interesting conversation with one Grace Kioko, a spider expert. People call her a spider woman. So we're going to have a conversation about spiders, their role, and some interesting knowledge and facts about spiders. Thank you so much for your time. Welcome. Please tell us your name and who you are.
So thank you for having me. So my name is Grace Kioko, and I'm a research scientist at the National Museums of Kenya. I work with arachnids, basically animals with 8 legs and 2 body parts. That is just the basic description. And I'm an arachnologist. Yeah. And my work mostly revolves around spiders. I do spider research, their taxonomy, their ecology, and I'm mostly very interested in their conservation and educating people on their importance. Yeah.
So why should we care about spiders? I mean, why are spiders so important?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and a question that many people ask me, because many people just see spiders and they're like, oh, you know, but spiders are very important because they're actually very good indicators of the ecosystem. Because they occupy mostly every habitat, so they're very good indicators of the ecosystem in terms of they can tell you if an area is degraded, because in their absence, it means that something is lacking. They're also very good predators, and they help in control of pests. We actually have studies that have shown that if spiders are missing in the environment, then we have surges of other insects, because mostly they feed on insects. And they actually I like calling them carnivores, small carnivores, because they feed mostly on insects. We have mostly spiders that feed on insects, and only one spider has been reported to feed on plants. It's a spider that was discovered in South America and East Asia, I think India, and it's called Bagheera kiplingi. So it's the only spider that is known to be a vegetarian, although it also feeds on insects, but it's also been known to feed on plants. Yeah.
But even at home in the garden, I've seen green spiders.
Yes.
So those even those are carnivores.
Yes, yeah, and if you see spiders in the garden, then they are very good for you because they help in control of pests. So we have these nuisance insects that actually help. They are mostly destructive, and they're mostly like 1% of the insects, or 1 to 3% of the insects that we have worldwide, that they're destructive. We call them pests. So spiders feed on everything. But in their feeding of everything, because we call them generalist predators, in their feeding of everything, they help in controlling or keeping down the numbers of the pests together with the other insects.
Yeah.
And in their absence, these things will surge and their numbers will really increase, causing destruction of crops.
Yeah. Okay. So besides them feeding on the insects or rather pests that feed on crops or that destroy crops, what else do they help us here on Earth?
Well, we have so much. We have the spider venom. The spider venom, people are doing research on it to see the medical applications of it, because the venom has been found to have medicinal importance in terms of development of drugs that help in treating diseases. We also have the spider silk. They produce silk, the one that they use to make the web. So the silk has also been researched on. We have researchers doing research on the application of silk on maybe making car airbags and bulletproof vests, because they say that the spider silk is 5 times stronger. If you have the same width of spider silk as steel, then spider silk is 5 times stronger than steel. So that's, it kind of doesn't make sense, because if you see the web, it's kind of very fragile and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, but so they're trying to do research on it in terms of can it be applied elsewhere. So we have people trying to apply it in making of the car airbags and also making of bulletproof vests. So that's a very good application. We have also people who are trying to harvest it in large numbers to try to make like fiber for clothes, like clothes. Although, that's a major application, but the problem with this is you cannot do this naturally. You have to genetically, try to extract the silk. So we have researchers that are trying to see maybe if they can try to do a mass production of the silk. And some try to extract the gene production of silk from spiders, the gene for silk production in spiders, and then they insert it, or they actually combine it with the gene production of milk in goats, and then they can actually harvest it in large numbers while they're milking the goats. So they're trying to do this, and it's an interesting field to look into. But they have very many applications.
So when you say that they try to extract, I thought that spiders maybe make the web from the environment. So it does come from within the spiders?
Yes, we have a specific gene for silk production that is found in spiders. So you isolate this specific gene and then you combine, it's more or less like GMO of sorts. So you combine that silk production gene into the gene for milk production in goats. Then you can harvest the silk in large production. And the reason they're trying to do this is because spiders are very territorial. So you cannot kind of rear them in one place like chicken and trying to extract, they'll eat each other.
Really?
They will. So they cannot like coexist in the same place. Yeah, they're very territorial. Like they like guarding their own territory. So if you put a large number of them in one area, they're going to feed on each other. Because even in seasons of low prey, they normally feed on other spiders. So the moment you put them in one place, they can actually feed on the other spiders present here.
Okay. Wow. You know, for the longest time I thought the web, just like birds make nests from the environment, spiders also make what?
The webs.
Web from the environment as well. That's
no, it's something internal because they have silk production glands. They are called spinnerets. So they're silk production glands that are found in spiders. So the silk production glands kind of make the silk, and then the spiders kind of, they remove the silk from within. And they can actually even, like, to preserve the silk, they can actually even ingest. In like maybe, for example, we have a spider that normally spins the silk in the morning, and then when it comes in the night, they kind of swallow it back, and then they can, spin it again. So in terms of also conservation. So spiders are our little conservationists. Yeah. Wow.
Wow. And you mentioned that about the spider venom being used as treatment to make medicine.
Yes.
So that means that the spiders are venomous, right?
Yes, spiders are venomous. We have all spiders are venomous except for only 2 families. So we have about 130 something families of spiders that are present in the world.
When you say families, you mean species, right?
Sorry?
When you say families, you mean species of...
No. We have, like in scientific terms, we normally do a classifications. You have the kingdom, phylum, class, family, that kind of classification. So we have family, and then genus, and then species. So we have 130 something families. I think 34 are present. They normally change on a given give or take a specific day. So we have 130 something, maybe 34, 35, depending on today. I haven't checked. And then we have over 50,000 species described worldwide.
50,000?
Over 50,000 species of spiders worldwide, yes. Yes.
Okay. And so all of them, but 2 families are venomous? All
of them, but 2 families are venomous. So, and the venom of spiders, mostly they normally use it for capturing prey. And many people fear spiders because they think it's venomous, but their fangs, because they normally inject venom, so their fangs are not strong enough, most of them, they're not strong enough to pierce the human skin. So they're mostly harmless. Like, for example, I can give you a statistic in Kenya. In Kenya, we have 55 families that have been described, and this is a paper I did in 2018. We have about 55 families that are described, and about 800 species that we know of. I'm sure if you do research, you're going to find more. That because it's an area that has not been really studied, about 805 species described in Kenya. And of the 805 species, I did a comparison because there was a paper that was described from South Africa about spiders of medical importance. So I did some sort of comparison with the South African species and in Kenya, and I found that only 31 species of the 805 are of medical importance, and of the 31 species, only 2 are deadly. So it's a very small number for people to be fearing spiders. Spiders are mostly helpful. The venom is really not a big factor for people to be concerned with. Yes.
Well, what about these 2 which are deadly, and what are they, or rather, where are they found? Are they, and how can one recognize them?
So the two deadly species are from the black widow. You've heard of the black widow spider, right? So the black widow spiders, so only 2 have been described from Kenya. And they are normally spiders that are found. I don't like saying this because then people get really scared, but they're normally found in dark places. So maybe like underneath a table or in a dusty corner that you've not really dusted in a while. So something like that. Yeah. And the one thing you should know about these spiders is they're very shy. So unless you kind of attack them, unless you kind of intrude in the environment, then they won't come for you. So that is one thing that I normally tell people. It's the same thing that if you go in the wild and you kind of interfere with the lions in the wild, the moment you get there, then they kind of attack back because they're kind of defending their territory. So it's the same thing with these spiders. They're very shy. They don't come like to attack you. They normally just stay in these places, and when you kind of disturb them, they kind of roll in their web. So it's kind of a defense mechanism. So unless you kind of disturb them completely, then, yeah. But mostly they're very harmless. But that said, people react differently to venom injection or venom maybe bite or stings or something like that. It's the same way that if someone is stung by a bee, one may have like a very localized reaction where you just find like maybe you have like a pimple pop up, and someone can have like a systemic reaction whereby you have like the entire body going to like shock and then they swell up and everything. So it's the same thing with spiders. So because if you're allergic to the venom, then your body will react differently to it. But most people, it's completely harmless.
Okay, and for the, did you say black widow?
Yes.
And why are they called black widow?
It's just a name. They're called black widows. And one thing you talked about how to recognize them, they're normally black and they normally have a red mark on the abdomen or the underside of the belly of the abdomen.
What about their size?
They're very tiny spiders. I think the largest could be about 5 millimeters.
Really?
Yeah, they're very
so
tiny.
Small?
They're very small. They're not really big.
What about the big ones, like the ones that we saw?
Yeah, we do have bigger spiders like the baboon spiders. Now, the bite of a baboon spider is very painful because they have large fangs.
It's painful.
It's painful, yeah. I've had people tell me that once they were bitten by a baboon spider, they've had like pain that lasted almost 12 hours long because it's really, really painful. But the thing with them is you have to realize the only thing that causes that much pain is because they have really big fangs and they inject a bit more venom compared to the really tiny spiders that we have. So yeah, that's just about it. Yeah, but their venom is really not of medical importance. Yeah.
So it can't kill, it can't?
It cannot kill unless in those special cases that I've talked about whereby you have somebody who's like allergic to the venom reaction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Can you also tell us about the relationship between spiders and mosquitoes?
Yeah, so we do have, like any other, mosquitoes are insects. So spiders, part of the diet of spiders is mosquitoes. But we have a spider that has been described from Lake Victoria in Kenya and Uganda. It's called Evacha culisivora. And this spider is known as the vampire spider in layman's term. And the reason it's called a vampire spider, it's because it feeds indirectly on human blood. And by indirectly, I mean that this spider specifically prefers the female Anopheles mosquito that is blood-fed. So the female Anopheles mosquito is the mosquito that is normally the vector for transmission of malaria. And the transmission of malaria is by sucking blood from humans. So the spider indirectly feeds on human blood by feeding on the blood-fed mosquito, the female Anopheles mosquito, yes. And when an experiment was done to check the preference of whether it will prefer a blood-fed mosquito as compared to like maybe in the lab we normally do a control of sugar-fed, like sugar or sucrose-fed mosquitoes. The spider always went for the blood-fed mosquito. So it means that it actually prefers the female Anopheles mosquito, which is blood-fed compared to any other
specifically spider. Human blood? Human blood,
because the female mosquito normally feeds on mammalian blood, so mostly humans. Yeah. Because the spider is also found normally located along human like settlements along the Victoria. Yeah.
Okay. Are you sure this spider doesn't feed directly from humans?
No, it doesn't. Yeah. Yes, the research that was done, there was a research that was conducted in 2012 by Robert Jackson and Ximena Nelson, and they actually found that it actually just feeds indirectly, not directly. So people should not be afraid that it's going to bite them because the preference it has is for the mosquitoes. and specifically the one that's a blood fed, not the directly to the humans.
Okay. And so what does that mean for mosquitoes and for malaria?
Well, what that means for mosquitoes and malaria research in Kenya is we have an untapped area, because this is an area that people can explore. We always find ways on research, like new research areas we can tackle in terms of control of malaria. We've had the mosquito nets, we've had people, the cleanliness of the environment and the like, but this is an area that we can actually use something we call natural enemies. Natural enemies are things that actually, like spiders, things that are actually in the environment that can help us in control of other nuisance things like the mosquitoes. So if we can utilize the female Anopheles mosquito, then if this is an area we can tap into, then we can actually try and see if it's an area we can tap into in terms of control of malaria. Not so much has been done in terms of research of this spider and control of malaria, but the research has shown that it actually prefers feeding on the female Anopheles, which is the major vector in transmission of malaria. So if more research can be done in the area, then it's an area that people can explore in terms of how else can we utilize this natural enemy, God-given predator to control malaria.
And has it been used elsewhere? I mean, is the vampire spider, that discovery, has it been made elsewhere in the world?
No. The spider is only found in Lake Victoria and in Kenya and Uganda.
Only?
Only, yes.
In the wild?
In the wild.
Wow.
Yeah, it's only found in Kenya and Uganda. Yeah, and so it's a very unique spider. Maybe I'm going to show you a picture later, but it's a very unique spider. And it's very interesting because it's a jumping spider. Jumping spiders normally have very good vision when it comes to most spiders. So the fact that it can actually be very keen to select the female Anopheles mosquito, it shows that the jumping spider has very good vision in terms of selecting, because we have mosquitoes normally have different resting positions, and the Anopheles mosquito, both male and female, have the same resting position, but this spider specifically picks the female Anopheles, not the male. So it actually shows that it actually has very good vision, and it actually can distinguish some colors. So that's very interesting to look into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you know that it has a very good vision and it can sort of distinguish colors?
Yeah, because there was a research that was done, and the research basically puts different types of mosquitoes in an experiment. So like you have the spider, and then you have different types of mosquitoes. You have the same Anopheles mosquitoes, male and female, but the spider specifically went for the female Anopheles. And if you put like a female, both female Anopheles, one that is blood-fed and one that is not blood-fed, it picked the blood-fed. And the blood-fed normally have like a reddish abdomen. So that shows that it has good vision when it comes to color. And also it has good vision in terms of distinguishing this is a male and this is a female. Because a mosquito is not my area of expertise, but I know that they normally have different antennae, the male and the female. So the fact that it actually picks the female compared to the male, it shows that it actually has distinguishing characteristics in its head. And researchers are trying to find out that is this something that is, God-given? Do they just distinguish, or do they have like a selective characteristic or criteria to it? So it's an area that really needs a lot of exploration. It's an area that people are looking into, and it's an area that has a lot of potential when it comes to research.
So if this discovery was made in 2012, why, it's almost more than a decade later, why has it been sort of explored?
No, I've actually read that the researchers are still doing some work on it. So I'm sure maybe in the near future they're going to give us like interesting findings for it. I'm not specifically involved in the research myself, but I follow the researchers very closely, and I know that they're currently working on something, like they are still researching on the lab on the spider. So probably they're going to come with something good for us to look into. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
It's very interesting.
Something else, not necessarily about this mosquito, rather about the spider. Okay, but you said that it's jumping, so it like physically or literally jumps, right?
It's a group of spiders that are called jumping spiders, and these spiders normally, when you find them in the environment, they're normally jumping up and down. When it comes to science, we don't try to complicate things. We just name it as we see it. Okay. So the fact that it was seen jumping around, it's a jumping spider. Yeah, it's a group of spiders.
So
it's actually the most the most species-rich family. It has over 6,000 species described, that specific family of spiders. Yeah.
Wow. Something else about spiders?
I don't know. Spiders are very good. For me, I tell people, conserve them. If you see a spider in your house, then it's actually good for you because it's going to feed on these maybe roaches that are really, sumbuaing you in the environment, in the house.
Can they feed on cockroaches?
They do. The spiders feed on everything. Yes.
But roaches are bigger than spiders.
Yes, but like spiders don't necessarily, we have different mechanisms of feeding. So we have the hunters that normally, hunt the same way a lion will hunt for its prey. So it goes after the prey, hunts and, captures the prey. And we have the web spinners. So the web spinners normally spin a web and then sit and lay in wait to capture spiders. So they're very creative when it comes to hunting. We have spider prey can range from a very tiny thing to a very big thing. We have the bird-eating spider. Have you heard of it?
Bird?
Yeah, bird-eating spider. It's a baboon spider, a baboon spider that was discovered in the Amazon, of course.
That is the biggest.
It's actually one of the biggest spiders that we have. And it was seen at one point feeding on a bird. So it's a bird-eating spider. So the spider prey can range from, it has a very wide range, from very tiny animals to very large animals. They even feed on lizards. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
But the web is not as strong to hold some...
Yes, yeah. So normally when they hunt, they normally inject the venom. So when they inject the venom, they paralyze the prey. And then the venom or the digestive juices also act to liquefy the inside. Spiders don't chew. They liquefy the insides of the prey and then they just suck the insides. They just suck the insides. If you go to spiders, you're going to see like a lot of shells of the prey. You can actually tell what the spider fed on by analyzing the web, because you can see like maybe the shells, the remains of the prey, because they don't feed on the outside, they just liquefy the inside when they just suck. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yes.
Now give us the backstory. How did you just decide to study about spiders and
so
what piqued your interest?
My story is very simple. I came to the National Museums of Kenya after my campus. I wanted to get like, what is it called? I wanted to get hands-on experience on my field of interest, which was entomology. So I came to the National Museums of Kenya per the suggestion of my college supervisor, Professor Gideon Nyamasio. So I came here, and when I came here, I interacted with so many scientists who guided me on the hands-on experience on taxonomy of different things. By interacting with them, then I realized that insects, one thing you have to realize about insects is they are very large. We have very many numbers. Like spiders themselves, we say they have over 50,000 species. We have beetles, which are over maybe 70,000. There are so many species of spiders, of insects. So you cannot get to do everything. So normally here we have people who are specialized in specific areas. You'll find a beetle expert, a spider expert, a fly expert, a mosquito expert, different expertise. So when I came here, I realized that there was a niche when it came to arachnid expertise, specifically spiders, scorpions, solifuge, whip scorpions, tailless whip scorpions, and the like. We have, like, nobody was necessarily dealing with them. We have people who have a general idea, but nobody specifically specified on them. So by getting that, it just piqued my interest because they're very good creatures and they look very different. If you see different spiders in the wild, they look very different. They're very unique, and it's just interesting to look at them. So I decided to take a leap and get to understand these creatures. By that, so we had these different scholarships. We had a partnership with the Chinese government, whereby we had, part of the agreement was capacity building. And capacity building in terms of masters and PhD students. I applied for my master's degree, and I was very lucky to get an opportunity to go do my master's in China, where I was attached to a lab where they dealt with spiders and other arachnids. and my supervisor was an expert in spiders. So I got to actually learn from the best of the best in the world, and that was very interesting for me to get to do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. But now yourself, do you fear spiders? You know, okay, you are a lady, and I'm not being sexist, but I think ladies generally sort of fear bugs, including spiders.
Yeah. I've just never been a person who fears bugs. Yeah, I was born and raised in Kibera, and my growing up was never something that I've just never been able to fear anything. So bugs don't really necessarily scare me. Yeah, and they're harmless if you can get to look at them. They're really harmless. Yeah, most of them actually. The bigger percentage of insects, the bigger percentage of arthropods are actually helpful. Most of the arachnids are very good predators. They help in controlling of pests. We have insects that are very good pollinators in terms of bees, butterflies, flies. They're very good pollinators. We have insects that can be used in forensic entomology, whereby they help in solving of crimes. We have insects that help in nutrient recycling, like beetles.
Solving crimes?
Yes, yes, because the different stages of insects can, if you go to a crime scene and you find the different stages of insects, you can be able to tell that probably this person has, or this dead body has been there for like maybe a certain number of days, depending on the period this stage takes to develop from this stage to this stage. Yes. So it's actually a very interesting area that people are working on. So majority of the insects, majority of the arthropods are very helpful, and people should learn to embrace more of the arthropods, because they do form the largest number of anything in the world next to plants. It's plants, then arthropods, then the rest. So if these things did not exist, then the pyramid will collapse. Yes.
Then why weren't we sort of taught these things in school? I mean, we are talking about maybe the regular sort of things, like,
yes.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah, and I think maybe that's something that the CBC is trying to cover, right? It's trying to get people to learn more of the reality than, the textbook literature that we did back in the day. Because if you're immersed in what actually helps, if you're immersed in what really matters, like how you can actually apply the things, the knowledge that you did in school, then it's much better than if you just get to just go through the motions of it. Because even when I did my campus, I think most of these things were not really practical back in the day. So I had to actually come to the National Museums to get the practical bits of how these things help. You just do the literature there, but then you come and understand why we have what we have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. Maybe your last word or something, parting short.
So my last word is very simple, because I have spiders. And I would also like to encourage the young people to come and learn. This is an area that we have a lot that is yet to be discovered. It's an area that has a lot of potential. All the things I've mentioned, from the conservation bit to the industrial application, we have so much in terms of spiders. But when you see that spider in your house, conserve it. If you're afraid of it, just take it, like maybe try to push it outside the door, but don't kill it. Okay. Yeah.
You said about potential in this field. What about young people, especially those in school, in college, they really look, okay, of course there is the conservation effort, but what about their livelihood? Are there job opportunities in this area?
Yes, we do have opportunities in the area, because when it comes to the taxonomy of it, we don't have a lot of taxonomic experts. When it comes to the application of spiders, like the spider silk, not so many people exploring their potential. The venom, we have a lot of potential when it comes to venom exploration. So we do have a lot that can be explored in terms of employment. You just have to think outside the box for you to be able to, to be able to maybe get an opportunity. So we don't have, we do have an endangered list of species, of spider species, of species generally, but when it comes to spiders, as I've said, not a lot has been done in terms of their research. So I'm trying to see if I can actually create a database of endangered spider species. This is an area I'm looking into, and we don't have that information as of yet in Kenya. The species that are found that are in the database, it's called the IUCN Red List of Species. So the species that are found that are recorded in Kenya, they're of least concern, meaning they're not of conservation danger as of now. But I'm sure we do have spiders that are endangered, but this is something that I'm working towards developing. As of now, we don't have.
From your research so far, what do you think would be the biggest threat to spiders?
Land degradation. Because if the land disappears, if we continue degrading the land at the rate at which people are doing that, we need to have conservation. We need to conserve the areas that are normally for, like, like for example, the parks and the like. But land degradation basically is the biggest danger to spiders. Because if you don't have an environment to stay in, then the numbers are going to go down. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Asante sana.
Karibu. Thank you for having me.
Karibu.